actually had a frog in the audience. Somebody's taking it out right now. But I'm here with Chris Louton. He is a winemaker extraordinaire, and right behind us, Chris, you have to tell us what we're looking at, because I see these gorgeous vineyards and this beautiful mountain. Where are we?
Yeah. So we're in Sonoma Valley, the heart of Sonoma Valley, at one of our estate properties, which includes our winery and our visitor center. And behind me sits our wild oak vineyard, which is really home to many varieties for us. All the Bordeaux blenders, as well as Chardonnay and a little bit of Syrah and a couple others. So it's a real diverse region. And behind us is the Mayacamas mountain range, and it really frames this vineyard quite spectacularly.
It's an exquisite place. I mean, not only to visit, but it's got to be amazing to work here.
Oh, it's gorgeous. Just the what you get to look at every day is inspiring, and then the fruit that's coming from both this vineyard and a vineyard we have down the road. The Beadler vineyard is also producing great Merlots for us as well. So yes, very fun, very exciting, and you know, this is where you get to live and work and play.
That's beautiful.
Can't ask for more.
We've got a fabulous red blend in our glass. Will you tell us a little bit about this while I sip and try?
Definitely. Yeah, so this is our 2013 Anthem Meritage blend. So Meritage meaning we're taking the opportunity to use all the 5 Bordeaux varieties: Cabernet, Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc, Merlot, Petit Verdot, Malbec, and make a blend there to kind of showcase the best of each vintage. And so that is sort of my the ability to use all these varieties and come up with each year a distinct blend, very different from anything else that we would make in our portfolio, and really jump off of you know, whether it's Cab or Malbec, and bring Petit Verdot into the blend, and really just look for something that's exciting, tasty, delicious is really what we're trying to do with this wine. In 2013 delivered all of those things.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
it's absolutely amazing. I'd love to ask you about the particulars of the vineyards, because you've got some really amazing vineyards that you're sourcing from. At first, because the land is so diverse, how many acres of vineyards are we talking?
Well, we farm and own about a little over 400 acres.
Wow.
That we, here in Sonoma Valley, we have 2 estate vineyards, and then we have an estate vineyard in Russian River.
Okay.
Outside of that, we work with, you know, 25, 30 different growers. And this is including our Bordeaux programs, but also our Zinfandel and Chardonnay programs. So we span Sonoma County, south to north, east to west. We really get a good snapshot of what and why Sonoma County is a world-renowned region for growing grapes.
It's pretty fantastic. So there's so many dynamics involved in Sonoma County. What are some of the climate aspects that you capitalize on out of your vineyards?
Yeah, so here in Sonoma Valley, this is what's known as more of an open valley. We're not closed in on the north or the southern end, so we get a really beautiful afternoon breeze during most of the growing season, which helps, you know, ripen fruit at a nice even pace. Cooler evenings help to retain some of the acidity and create really dynamic and bright colors. Out in Russian River, it's a different animal out there. Where our vineyard happens to sit is actually really close to Alexander Valley, Chalk Hill appellation. So though that region's a little bit warmer, our Chardonnay is down on the valley floor where it's cool and foggy. A little Sauvignon Blanc as well, but the Cabernet sits up on the hill, on the bench land and onto the hillside, so we get some really nice western exposures, and so we can get those nice dark fruit Cabernet characters, along with great acidity as well.
Absolutely, and that's got to be something that's in the Anthem Meritage, is that correct?
Correct. So this blend's actually 100% from our estate vineyards.
I'm going to make sure they can see the bottle. This is the bottle of what we're sipping right now. Hopefully it's not backwards to you, because it's backwards to us.
And yes, and of course, and like I was referring to earlier, each year I look at what lots really jump out at me.
Yeah.
And anytime for a blended wine, it takes a lot of work to sort of come up with a concept, where you want to go. You definitely let Mother Nature and the season sort of drive the final blend in terms of where the best fruit's coming from, where the best wines are coming from, and then sit down at a table and just start to tinker, you know, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Start with Cab, start with Merlot, and just work your way through until you hit that spot when you know you've hit the blends. It's a light that turns on.
So before we started this interview, Chris and I were talking. We actually got together a few weeks ago, maybe a month, and he held a blending seminar, which was fascinating to me. Can you tell us a little bit about the grapes that were involved in that? And if you ever have a chance to try a blending seminar, I totally recommend it. They're fantastic. You get to learn a little bit about your own palate, but also about what's going in that you prefer, some of the wines that you want a little bit heavier or a little bit lighter in the blends.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I tried to showcase on that day, to really give everyone a good idea of coming up with a blend where you may have this awesome wine that you think is just, it's the best of, and then when you put it into a blend, it just doesn't fare as well. And so that one's, it comes down to what you like, what you find as enjoyable, and then how those interact together. You never know until you try if 30% Merlot is going to work or not. You just have to try it. So each year it doesn't come, it's not the equal amount each year. So in that blending seminar, I had wines from our Russian River estate. That's the Lago Marcina vineyard, and there was two wines in there. One was a very nice black olive, firm tannins, bright acidity, very, what I would say is a good food-friendly wine on its own, maybe a little austere, but in a blend could really pop some fruit. And the other wine was more of a hedonistic wine. It was the big, dark, preserved blackberry, dark cherry wine that had this luscious mouthfeel. And so now you have two distinct cabs. And then to play off of that, I brought in a Malbec from this estate. And Malbec for us is just an explosion of color, fruit, texture. It really helps fill in holes. It'll really help round out a palate. And then Petit Bordeaux, I had at the seminar, was from Rockpile. And Rockpile, for those who don't know, is a really small appellation out on the western fringes of Sonoma County. And the fruit that we are sourcing from is about 1,900 foot elevation. It's a true mountain Cabernet and Petit Bordeaux. And Petit Bordeaux just has this great violet floral character. There's a little bit of fruitiness to it, red fruit type characters. But I really look for bright acidity and this sort of floral note character that comes from the vineyard. And then along with that, I had a third Cabernet. I tried to pare it down as much as I could. I think originally I had about 8 wines I wanted to be playing with, but I had to bring it down. And that third Cabernet was from the Moon Mountain appellation, which is another appellation here in Sonoma Valley. It's a sub-AVA of the Sonoma Valley. That wine was really what I was using as my fruity wine of the bunch. I really wanted that bright, just kind of almost candy note to come through.
It really was. The Moon Mountain.
Yeah.
I mean, with the rock pile, to me, were just absolutely fascinating. I could have just sipped on those, but we were required to blend, right? My blend, you may have seen in some of the advanced promotion of this piece that you're watching today. We're, again, with Chris Louton of St. Francis. He's the winemaker here, one of the 2 winemakers here. They've got 400 acres to tend to, so Chris, you need help from time to time?
Yes, we do. Yeah.
But my actual mixing station looked like a murder scene. So it's fun, it's dangerous, it is
dangerous. There's some danger involved. Yes.
Wickedly amazing on your palate. And like you said, when you hit the right blend for your palate, you know the moment a light goes off.
Yeah.
I would love to talk to you about blends, because there are some people who are very austere, perhaps, or maybe even snobby in their desires to have something that is completely unfettered with anything else. But we've really seen a drive towards today's consumer with these wines that are more pleasing to the palate and that have more layers and nuances. Can you tell me a little bit about what is going on at St. Francis with the blends and kind of what you see in the industry?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Red blends of all sorts have really come to the forefront and become very popular for very, very good reasons. They're very approachable. They tend to have really nice palates. Sort of each varietal isn't quite standing out, so they come together quite nicely. And for us here, we do a couple blends to showcase that approach to the wine. I also do like to play around with single vineyard wines and really showcase that distinct region of each of the appellations that we work with. I think that's also an exciting thing. It's also a very challenging thing. Just as a red blend, it challenges you into finding that perfect knit. Trying to make a wine that is pure of a place that speaks to that region is also a challenge, because you don't have a lot of wiggle room. My job job is really just to make sure it tastes good and I don't mess it up really.
I love it. Okay, so another question I have for you, and this is, on the blending, we're talking about blends, and then we're also talking about the varietals on their own, the single varietals. I think it would be cool to do something like, have a bottle of Anthem, and then have a bottle of each of the varietals that go into the Anthem separate,
right,
to kind of get a picture for really what the differences are in the different varietals.
Yeah, no, it's always, and sometimes that's a challenge too, to find, because the goal here is maybe to sort of cover everything up, and as these varietals come into play and they sort of weave in and out of each other and they've had some time to coalesce and come as one, you start to lose that sort of maybe floral note of the Petit Bordeaux or the dark blackberry note of the Cabernet, or the real sort of earthy tones and savory tones that Malbec can have. They start to sort of take a backseat, and the blend starts to become what's the dominant theme. You see fruit, but you just don't see those fine details as you would. And once it's in the bottle, it's sort of the ship has sailed, and it's
over.
aging on its own, and each one's going to start to have its distinct character. But it's to break one down, and to deconstruct a wine like that, it is always fun, and we have the opportunity here to do that because a lot of these wines that go into this blend and our other blends, we do bottle individually for our visitor center and our taste in our club as well, so they can see our Malbec, maybe a Cab Franc. Petit Verdot, not as often, not as much, but you get to see Merlot and Cab, so it is fun. And if you can have the opportunity, it would be a great exercise.
I think so. I think so. So try that sometime. Get a bottle of the Anthem red wine Meritage and try the wines that go in it. So what would you recommend? If I had an Anthem on the side, what are the 3 other components that I should try to get the distinct layers and tastes and nuances?
Perfect. And particularly for Anthem, this is generally what I like to have as a Cabernet forward wine that tends to take the predominant varietal percentage, whether it's 90, 80, or 70%. So a bottle, say, of our Lago Marcino Cabernet. You want a Cab, nice strong Cab, great color. Malbec would be another favorite of mine to have. Not as readily available, but definitely out there. And we do a wild oak Malbec. So a Malbec from our vineyard right behind us is what is usually going into this blend. Okay. And then from there, I always, after that, I kind of have to play a lot with, but Petit Verdot I do always find very interesting. Small quantities tend to go a long way in these blends, 5% or less. I've seen 1% do amazing things in the wine. So those would be the 3 I would start off with.
I'd love to hear if you always wanted to be a winemaker. Were you 4 or 5 years old going, I want to be a winemaker, I'm in love with the grapes, or did this come later in life?
No, as a 5-year-old, 6-year-old, I wanted to be a baseball player or firefighter.
Go Cubs, sorry. Couldn't resist.
Go National League. Yeah. But so the wine bug didn't hit me until much later in life. I was always intrigued by science, and actually veterinary medicine was really my passion as a teenager. Started working in animal hospitals and just following down that path. And what's really, you think, well, how can veterinary medicine and the wine industry have anything in common? And obviously we're dealing with very different extremes, but the core thing that really brought me into both was the science aspect of it. And I actually then fell in love with wines while in college. I just took an introduction to winemaking course, and I think my wife can attest to this. I think by week 2, she pretty much knew I was changing course and fell in love with it. And we were not big wine drinkers, beer drinkers, but we, thanks to that course, we enjoyed a lot of wine during that during that quarter I had. And from there, I just I thought, well, I have all the science background. Winemakings, there's a lot of science involved in winemaking, and it was just a natural fit, and the light came on. I think as those of us who get into the wine industry maybe later in life, coming in from different industries, and there's that moment where the light turns on and you think, yes, this is it. This is. I'm excited. I never been as excited as I was when really made that decision to return to school to study wine.
Because you actually did some of the very prestigious wines. You were a winemaker at Beringer for a time.
Yeah, so I was very fortunate during school to do an internship with Stromsburg. vineyards. So learn the art of making sparkling wine.
Beautiful.
Very beautiful property, amazing wines, and the ability to make sparkling wine is not the easiest to find. And so really jumped off of that, and then went to Beringer Vineyards, where for almost 7 years worked on the Napa Valley properties and Knights Valley property, which is the Knights Valley appellations here in Sonoma County. So working with all the AVAs in Napa County, from Howe Mountain to Mount Veeder, Oakville, Rutherford, and really get an understanding of what it is of each growing region that makes such distinct wines, and how to, one, put them together into a blend, but also how to showcase them on themselves. And so from there, again, Knights Valley was always just sort of my foot in Sonoma County, and from there, having the opportunity to come to St. Francis and really explore all of our appellations was an opportunity I couldn't resist.
Fantastic. I had a question about the seasons and what you feel the most exciting season is for you.
Yeah, good question. Well, the most exciting, by a large amount, I would say, is harvest, which here falls, from late summer into early fall. There's an excitement to it. There's excitement in the air. You can feel it, when it starts, and it's just the excitement that's there, and just the unknown of the opportunity, the thought, and what's going to happen. What are these wines going to turn out? Now, we've been tending to these vines all winter, all spring, tasting them, seeing the colors come into play. The ideas of what these wines are going to become in our minds starts to come to fruition. And each year, there's always something new that Mother Nature throws at our way. And so we start to see trends in these. And it's really, that's the opportunity that we have, is every day is different for us here. And that's exciting. Of course, if you don't like change, probably not your best
right.
career choice. But if you like to roll with the punches and and enjoy and explore the differences that does go on out in nature, and then bring that and try to harness that energy at the winery, that's just definitely a fun career.
Excellent. So 2016 was quite the year. I'd love to hear your read on what we can expect in 2 years. Is it going to be that we're going to need to wait? 2 to 3 years for the 2016 vintage?
And that's a great point. What we are doing now is, no one gets to see for a few years when it comes to red wines. Those are aging in barrels for, a year to 2 years, and then maybe see some more time in bottle. So what 2016 brought was another, fantastic growing season in terms of the weather. The amount of fruit that we were seeing on the vines was much better than in 2015 in terms of quantity, and the quality was definitely there. And as we got closer and closer to harvesting, the colors, the flavors really start to develop. And it's hard to say which vintage is the best so far, or is it on par with another vintage. I would say it's on par with what we've seen in the past four vintages, for sure, in terms of flavor development, color development, tannin development, these mouthfeel, textures. We've really been thankful and blessed to have such solid fruit that we're able to really craft and mold into the wines that we want to make, that I want to make. If I wanted to make a big Cabernet, I had the fruit there to do it, and so that's always exciting, is when you have the raw ingredients, then you're off into the races.
When's your favorite time to pick? Are you a night picker, or are you a dawn picker?
A lot of our growers take the opportunity to pick in the middle of the night, which is fine. There's just some locations here. You're on a steep hillside. It can be quite dangerous to be.
There's a couple of mountain lions out there,
and
too.
there are some mountain lions and a bear family here. I understand that is taking residence in our mountains. So I'll tell you, terrain.
That is not the bear family behind us.
Correct. So nighttime into early dawn, it's always nice to receive that fruit. So that it's nice and cool. and fermentations start when we want them to start, and we have a little bit, as much control as we can. Yeah.
When no one's looking, what are you sipping as far as an alcoholic beverage?
Sparkling wine.
Sparkling wine.
Back to my early days as an intern and learning how to make sparkling wine.
Are you a Blanc de Blanc or a Cremant or?
Yeah, more the Blanc de Blanc, Noir, the rosés are, it's just, they're so diverse, and we find, at home with meals, whatever, that they're really food-friendly wines too. So,
They really are.
And I would say on that front too, Sauvignon Blanc is definitely another go-to for our family.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, this has been really fun.
Yeah, no, this is great.
Well, cheers to you.
Cheers to you.
And you have to sip when you cheers, so
Yes, must do.
down the hatch.